Hey guys, welcome back to Lunch with Life Youth, Questions from a Hat. Today we're going to be answering the question and looking at the question, does God get mad at me and punish me? So there's sin that exists in the world and exists in our lives, and sin, it separates us from God, right? But thankfully God, he had a rescue plan, and he sent his son Jesus, who came, he lived on this earth, a perfect being, and then he sacrificed himself, dying on the cross, and he died for our sin. He bore our sin upon him so that we could be with God forever. So today I have two stories that I want to share with you that I think will really help give you an idea of God if he wants to punish us and he gets mad at us. The first story is from the Bible. You can find it in Luke chapter 15, starting at verse 11, the parable of the lost son. Now, I'm not going to read the whole parable to you. I'll kind of give you like a bit of the Spark Notes version, the shorter version, just to save us a little bit of time today. So basically, the story starts. There's a man. He has two sons, right? One of his sons comes to him and he says, "Father, I want my half of the inheritance now, before you are dead." So an inheritance was the money that you would get from your parent after they passed away. And this son is saying, "Look, Dad, I don't care that you're still alive. I just want my money that I'm owed once you die now. And I just want to go do my own thing." And the father, he agrees to this, and he splits his wealth between his two sons. And a few days later, that younger son, he packs up all of his things and he moves away to a far, far distant land. And he wastes all of his money in a wild living. Who knows what he was doing? Nothing good, probably. But eventually, after his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. Eventually, he got a job working for a local farmer, and he was asked to go and feed some pigs. And when he went to go feed the pigs, he was thinking to himself, "Oh man, that food that I'm feeding the pigs even looks good to me." And if you've seen what pigs eat, it is not necessarily the best food in the world. It's kind of gross, probably. But that even looked good to him. That's how hungry he was. And he thought to himself, "My father's servants eat better than this. I'm dying of hunger. I'll go home to my father and I will say, I have sinned against both heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Please, just take me to be one of your hired servants." So he returned home to his father. Can you imagine? He lived in a far-off land, and that whole journey home, he probably practiced his speech, what he was going to say to his father, over and over and over again in his head. He tried to get the words exactly right so that when he went with this request to his father wouldn't send him away, and instead would hear him out and take him to be one of his servants. But here's where an amazing thing happens, right? And so he returned home to his father, and while he was still long a way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, and he embraced him and he kissed him. His son, he said to him this speech that he practiced 1,000 times in his head probably, "Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But his father said to his servants, he said, "Quick, bring the finest robe from the house, get a ring for his finger, and kill the fattened calf, for this son of mine was dead and now returned to life. He was lost, but now is found." So they began to have a party. And if you remember from the beginning of this story, the man had two sons. His older son was working in the fields while all of this had happened. Sorry about that, my dogs are crazy. So there was the man had two sons, and his older son had been working out in the fields all day, and he came back and he saw that there was music and there was dancing, and he said to one of the servants, "What is happening?" And the servant said, "Your brother is back, and your father has killed the fattened calf. We are celebrating his safe return." The older brother was angry, and he wouldn't go into the party. But the father came out to him, and he begged him. And the son said to him, "All of these years I have slaved for you, and never once refused to do a single thing that you told me to. And in return, you never gave me even one goat for a feast with my friends." He made it all about him and what he wanted and what he hadn't gotten from his father, instead of celebrating his brother's return. And his father, he points this out to him. I imagine he holds his son by his head with each hand, and he looks him in the eyes, because the older brother was probably looking at the ground trying to avoid, because sounds like he was angry with his father, right? And the father says this. He says, "Look, dear son, you have always stayed by me, and everything I have is yours. We had to celebrate this happy day, for your brother was dead and has come back to life. He was lost, but now he is found." So what does this story say about God being mad and punishing? You were probably thinking while I was saying it. It doesn't really answer that question, but in fact, it gives us the total opposite. God isn't mad at us. God is madly in love with us, and he wants to be with us. That's why he gave his son for us, so that we could be with him forever, because sin was a barrier that we could not cross. But Jesus, he eliminated that barrier so that we could be with God. God is not trying to keep us away from him. He's trying to get us to him. He's not going to be mad and hold things against us. If we ask for forgiveness for our sins, it's given to us, and then we have salvation when we're baptized, and we're able to live with God forever in heaven one day. So my second story is a story from my own life. When I was little, me and my older brother, we really loved red Kool-Aid, like the cherry Kool-Aid. Just thinking about it now, I feel I can taste the sugariness in my mouth. But when we were little, my father, he said to us, "The Kool-Aid is in the fridge, but you guys don't try to get it, because if you try to get it out of the fridge yourselves, you're probably going to spill it on the ground and you're going to make a big mess." Well, of course, there was one time when me and my brother really wanted some Kool-Aid, but our parents weren't around to ask. So we decided we were just going to take it upon ourselves to get the Kool-Aid out. So it was a joint effort, right? We got the Kool-Aid. Eventually, we got it out of the fridge, and we didn't spill any. We got it out. It was so cold, and we were so excited to drink it. But when we went to pour it in the glasses, well, we were just really little kids. We didn't know how to do that properly yet. And so we spilled the Kool-Aid all over the floor. And of course, what do? We're panicking, right? Our dad told us not to do this because of this exact reason. But we did it anyways. And now what he said has come true, right? The Kool-Aid is all over the ground. And so my brother, he panics and he grabs a napkin, a single napkin, and he starts trying to wipe up the Kool-Aid, whole pitcher of Kool-Aid with one napkin. And as you know, that's probably not doing much. In fact, he's probably spreading the Kool-Aid around more on the floor than anything else, right? And eventually my dad, he comes into the room and he sees what we have done, and he doesn't get mad at us. He doesn't yell at us like we were expecting him to. He simply gets some stuff. He gets a mop, he gets some paper towels, and he cleans up our mess. He helps us clean up our Kool-Aid and get rid of it, because he loves us and because he cares about us, and he doesn't want us to be in trouble. He doesn't want to get mad at us. In fact, he wants the opposite. He loves us. He wants to do what's best for us. Now, did he discipline us afterwards? Yes, and there are consequences to our actions. But the great love my dad showed for me, he was willing to look past, us ignoring what he had asked us to do, and just wanted to help us and to be there for us, right? So those are my two stories for you guys. I hope this gives you an insight that no, God doesn't get mad at you. God, in fact, he's madly in love with you. All right, guys, I will see you later. Peace.